Are we thriving or are we not? How do we best use what we have got?
Do we believe we can make some change or think it's not possible and out of range?
The vision of our future, like planning in the past, must belong to local people if it's going to last.
So we must have that vision, belief in self-esteem, collective action together like a big Drumchapel team.
We should focus on our strengths and learn from the past, strengthen our community, a true masterclass.
If people make Glasgow, I believe we are the same, and less focus on the blame.
What is so different about the Thriving Places theme? The community have identified priorities to transform the scheme.
Thriving Places was launched in Drumchapel in 2016 to connect with people living and working in Drumchapel and to inform a plan for the area's future from the point of view of the people who live here. Ted Scanlon is the Thriving Places Drumchapel Community Connector. Ted is based in the Drumchapel Shopping Centre's community hub, and his role is to engage with the local community, working with local groups and organisations to make them as accessible and successful as possible for people living here. Partner agencies such as the G15 Youth Project, St Mark's Church, Essenside Church, Drum Hub, Drumchapel Community Council and the Drumchapel Food Bank have worked in partnership with Thriving Places and supported the development into the community. Together, this network of local organisations worked to plan a community consultation exercise among the people in Drumchapel. It is the people who are connected with Drumchapel that are the most able to speak of the past successes and disappointments impacting the area and their visions for the future. We are going to feed back on this to you today. Earlier this year, a group of people connected to Drumchapel undertook a number of face-to-face conversations with some local residents. We knocked on doors, attended parents' evenings at local schools, went along to community events and spoke with people using the local amenities such as the shopping centre and the doctor's surgeries. We also had an online survey supported by our community partners D60, who circulated a questionnaire on their various social media accounts. It couldn't have been clearer that the community of Drumchapel has strong aspirations to see the area thrive. It's clear that people living in Drumchapel want to secure the very best outcomes for residents and the best possible future for children and young people growing up. There is a wealth of community activity going on in Drumchapel and an abundant sense of community spirit. There is so much positive going on in this community by people who care deeply about Drumchapel and the people who live here. However, with that said, the residents we have engaged with are clear on where action is needed and on priorities for the future. All in all, we spoke with 299 people in Drumchapel and another 150 local people completed the questionnaire online. People were free to tell us whatever they felt was important about Drumchapel and their experience of living here. Participation was totally anonymous and most people we approached were very happy to share their views. We asked people questions related to health and well-being. Speaking of health and well-being is a sensitive topic for many people, particularly older people who appeared stoic about their health and well-being and perhaps reluctant to acknowledge where they might be struggling. It's well established that a lot of stigma is attached to discussing our health and well-being. Discussing mental health remains taboo for many people in Glasgow, with ongoing stigma and shame attached to these issues. Drumchapel residents were no different. Many people do not want to be seen to be complaining. Despite these potential challenges in reporting issues related to health and well-being, it was very apparent that these issues had a profound effect on the people in our study. Participants reported a variety of issues related to their health and well-being and those impacting their children and families. Some participants were undertaking caring roles for ill family members, while also dealing with health challenges of their own. The issue of addiction also emerged prominently in the community's perspectives. In the main, this was reported as a problem preventing people feeling safe in public spaces such as the shopping centre. In a smaller number of responses, participants reported that their own addictions were problematic and contributing to their social exclusion and their poor health and well-being. As well as citing some of the ways in which their health and well-being were impeded by specific illnesses, a number of participants were insightful into what was causing their health and well-being to be challenged. Some people made links between their standard of health and well-being and the extent to which they were connected or disconnected from their community and the people around them. This was evident in speaking to Drumchapel residents engaging in a whole range of local activities and services, many of which are offered free to the community. These included walking groups and fitness groups, park runs in the Gerskaden Woods, youth clubs, cycling groups and art workshops. People spoke about the impact of isolation in respect of virtually every theme, from housing as a source of isolation to isolation caused by financial hardship, poor health and well-being. In our study, the participants who described being connected to the community appeared to have a greater sense of contentment and spoke more positively of their well-being and the presence of things in their life that brought them satisfaction. There is certainly a sense that linking in with local groups, community and neighbours contributes positively to a sense of connectedness and inclusion that enhances our well-being. During our consultation, we asked people about poverty, deprivation and social exclusion. People's financial circumstances are highly personal. It's not always easy to talk about money, and the issues of pride, privacy and worries about being judged are felt by many of us. Over half of the participants we spoke to said that it was hard to make ends meet, week to week and month to month. Almost everyone could identify that some people around them in Drumchapel were struggling with financial hardship, with friends, neighbours and families experiencing issues with money. For many people, this was a source of stress and anxiety, from which it was hard to escape. Christmas and summer holidays place additional pressures, with children to buy for and activities costing money. In our research, we sought to explore people's perceptions about how decisions about Drumchapel are made and by who. Participants were asked for their views on who made the important decisions for Drumchapel. 2/3 of participants in the online survey reported that elected political representatives, such as local councillors, MSPs and MPs, made most decisions. When speaking face to face with the participants, many people were unsure of how to answer this and said that they did not know. Some recalled that in the past, there seemed to be a greater capacity for local people to participate in decision making. As one respondent said to us, "Back in the day, there were people who made decisions about this area who actually lived here, and they would get things done. If you needed something done, you would see them about it." A number of people reported feeling a disconnection with local politicians at all levels and what the responsibilities and remits of elected members are. There were also strongly held views on party politics, and we were mindful of this in making sure that in our work we took no party political allegiance that might encourage or discourage any resident from engaging with our work. Some participants suggested that more could be done to enhance the engagement of the elected political members with the people of Drumchapel. Another focus of our work was on ethnicity and culture. Most people we spoke with were very tolerant and hospitable, and generally very welcoming to people settling in Drumchapel from other countries in recent years. Happily, the reports from these participants depicted a welcoming community who had supported integration of new people into Drumchapel. Simultaneously though, there was a perception reported of people coming in and taking resources that are not available to established residents. We found no evidence of this attitude culminating in harassment or intimidation, but there was a clear and evident perception among a number of the participants that people settling in Drumchapel from other countries are advantaged in their access to housing, finances, jobs and training. These findings are interesting and of quite a bit of concern, as they point to divisions in the community that have the potential to widen and become problematic. There's clearly concern among people locally which is related to the scarcity of resources. Some worried that new people would place a strain on what was already scarce in terms of housing and finances. So, where do we go from here? We want our consultation to make a strong contribution to informing future plans for Drumchapel by exploring local people's experiences of the area and using these to inform decisions for their community. We want to find ways for local people to make real and meaningful contributions to the decisions which shape Drumchapel and building upon what's already a fabulous, cohesive community. Today, we want to get people talking. On the 30th of June 2018, we hosted a community consultation afternoon at Drumchapel St Mark's Church. We invited local residents and workers, as well as elected political members, to come along for a buffet lunch and to hear the findings of our community research. Just under 60 people attended and participated in lively discussions where we engaged on the themes to emerge from the research. We broke into small groups to discuss the broad themes of isolation, exclusion, financial hardship, health and well-being, participation and power across Drumchapel, Drumchapel Shopping Centre and the Community Hub. Some further ideas emerged which build upon the report's findings. Some people suggested the possibility of local mentoring programmes, creating link workers from within the community and community activists that could be mobile within Drumchapel to join up and publicise what is available locally. People participating in the discussions also stressed the need to foster a zero tolerance with racism message across Drumchapel. Local people had a lot to say about the local environment and Drumchapel Shopping Centre. What emerged clearest of all from the community conference was that the imagination, motivation and range of ideas for Drumchapel's future lie within this community. A final aspect of the conference was presenting a visual representation of the report to the community. We asked a graphic artist to depict our community consultation. The visual plots the journey from the development of thriving places in Drumchapel to encourage public participation and in shaping and designing Drumchapel's future. The graphics show how generations of families have grown up here and community connections are deep-rooted within a proud community. But people feel this isn't reflected in what they see around them. There is so much community spirit that could be built upon to empower the community. The graphic outlines local people's experiences of Drumchapel, past and present, and how local people position their community as a place to live, learn, work and play. Local people are passionate and committed and creative and well aware of the barriers to progress. These include unemployment, poverty, loneliness, inadequate housing, social isolation, and groups and services not working together. All of these combine to exacerbate poor health and well-being. People recognise that to combat this, making connections across the community is key. To this end, community connectors can help to create positive links between local people and local places. The graphic concludes by spelling out the local demand for a community hub to build the community's capacity through skills, education and training, and most importantly, cementing down people's connections to their own community in Drumchapel. Our work to date concludes that Drumchapel is a welcoming, thriving place. Now we need to work together for change and help create the best possible future for our young people.
What you say?